I read Epic Illustrated, the Marvel magazine of adult fantasy from October 1981. Uh, the first story that I read was A Little Love, A Little Hate by Art Suydam. And here they give a overview of the story, which is interesting, and it let me sort of understand the world that I was about to go into. Um, and then I flipped through. This is the first illustration, which I found really cool. They also have a little description here, which was really helpful for reading the rest of the story and like kind of understanding the world better. Yeah. I really liked the visuals and the sound effects especially. I feel like were really cool and helpful, and all of the color. It just made it easier to follow along with the story. And this story is about these two kind of arch nemesises, I'd say. And they are battling each other, and it seems like they have a history with each other in their battles. And in the introduction, it says that it's a little similar to Tom and Jerry. So, yeah, here they're basically just fighting against each other. And we also, while they're fighting, we get to see through the visuals like so much of the story world. And I found that really cool. It's interesting to see like how much the world changes the more you go through it. And yeah, I found it a little bit difficult to follow sometimes, just because it's not really like narrative, and it jumps around just a little bit, but it was still like I could still understand the gist of it and understand what was going on. Other than that, so then, and I like that the end had this big poem there. I think that was really cool to end it off. And then I read Maker by Mark Wheatley. I also read the introduction for this one, and I found this one super interesting. I found the visuals really, really cool, and the format really cool. And this was a lot more of writing than actual visuals. But part of me liked that because I could follow the story a little bit better while also having something to look at, which was really nice. And I think the visuals here were just especially interesting. Like, I find these really, really cool. And this story has to do with these sort of world makers, and these people play God, and they're able to create worlds until one of them his wife dies, and he has kind of like a mental crisis. And when you're having a mental crisis, you're not supposed to be creating a world, but he does, and it creates a black hole, and it just destroys it destroys like planets and anything that it comes to in its path. And this one, I feel like this one was a lot more similar to and like related to the world. Like I could see a little bit more connection between this one and things that people go through in society now. Like they talked a lot about like bureaucracy and the like institutions, and like how the guy whose wife died doesn't believe in institutions, and the other character, who's the main character, I'd say, is a psychologist, and he tries to calm him down, but he doesn't succeed, and then the world just blows everything up. So this one had super cool visuals as well, and the visuals took up like almost the entire page, while also leaving some space to see like our characters' faces on the side and what they're saying, which was really nice. and also really easy to follow along. Then there's some ads in between, which was a nice format because when you finish, you can just open it up to this, and I would I don't know, it brings some appeal to it. I thought it was really interesting. Yeah, and then more advertisements and stories in between, which also make me want to flip through to those stories. Then the last one that I read or sort of watched, because this one had no dialogue, was Shiny Beast. And this one was, again, super cool. This one didn't have any dialogue, but I still found it really easy to follow. And it was cool because the visuals in this one they're not really in order. I guess you kind of have to figure out the order while you're looking at it and track which one comes next, which is interesting. At first I thought it would be difficult, but then when I kept flipping through, it was pretty easy to follow along with what was happening. And this one had a lot of really great colors. I feel like that's a theme throughout the whole comic book. There's so much color and visuals. This one is especially interesting because at first his world doesn't have any color. I thought that was so cool. You think it's going to be sort of this dark tale, and then you flip and it's so vibrant. So I really, really liked that. And I liked how this one, as I said, it's not in perfect order, but it sort of shuffles around what the next piece of story is on the page, which was really nice. And also use different ways of placing it in. I don't know if that makes sense, but here it's a smaller square, this one's a rectangle. Here they also use it a circle. I feel like that keeps it interesting. And this story has to do with a man who, he lives in sort of this black and white bubble in his own apartment, in his own home, and he seems like he's definitely going through a crisis of some sort. And he puts his sunglasses on and then enters the world full of color. And he really stands out compared to everyone else in the whole world. And it seems like everybody's against him. And he steals this comic book called Shiny Beast, which is also just in black and white. So he assumes that it's going to match him. I guess match up with him and who he is as this man in without color. But then he brings it back to his place and opens it up, and it fills his apartment with color, which is very, very cool. I really like the visuals here where it's an explosion of color in all gray, black and white. And then we see as he implodes into the world, and then he comes back out, and the world is in black and white. So, I assume that maybe, yeah, I'm not really sure what the ending of it could mean, but it's interesting, he never really fits in anywhere. So, yeah, maybe that. Then the end also has this, I believe it has it says thank you for reading. Yeah. And that's the end. It also has advertisements on the back. And so yeah, overall, I really enjoyed flipping through the comic and seeing everything. There are even more in here that I haven't read, but they look really interesting, and the format is different for almost all of them. And it's nice that having the introduction to each of the stories is able to kind of differentiate each of the stories and show you how these are all different worlds and different short stories within sort of one, just one big book of stories. I really enjoyed it.